So, Norma, your story has actually been making headlines now for a couple of weeks here. It's a very important story, and it's a really strange story for a lot of reasons. You, back in March, were arrested for feeding the homeless out in Arizona. Can you take us through what happened back in March?
Sure, just like I keep saying, it was just a normal, regular day doing my thing. It was nice and warm and sunny, and my husband and I carried food down to the park as we'd done almost every day of the week, and we'd served up, I don't know, roughly, and I don't know the number exact, but roughly 25, 26 people. And as the day was just finishing up and everybody was pretty well gone, last gentleman came up. I dished up his food. And just as he was walking away, a couple of police officers, excuse me, drove up and asked what I was doing. I told them, no problem. Asked for my ID. And he said he needed to go check out, went to his truck, come back a little bit later, and he goes, well, he says, I had some bad news for you. He says, uh, said good and bad. So first he says, I'm going to have to arrest you. And he said, that's the bad news. And the good news is I don't have to take you to Kingman to jail. We just have to go and get you fingerprinted. So, okay, And so we went and put me in the truck, and then another vehicle drove up. Later, I heard that it was chief of police. Whether it was or not, I don't know for sure. And the officer stepped out, talked to him, and come back, let me out of the out of his truck, unbuckled and all. And he says, well, he says, you are arrested. This is an official arrest, and you have to go to court. And we did the paperwork, and I had to sign it, and it gave the court date and all. And basically, I thought it was, at the beginning, I thought it was a joke, how someone's going
Right.
to punk you or something, until I was buckled in. Then it wasn't a joke anymore. And then when he gave me the ticket, again, I didn't think too much of it because I kind of thought it was like a traffic ticket. You go to court and pay a fine and you just don't speed again, right? Anyway, the officer was very nice and explained to me. So later when I went to court, the judge told me, don't say anything. He said, just, this is what can happen. This is what it is. And he told me all of the things that could happen if I was found guilty. And it was jail time, there was probation time, there was a large fine. And it's like, whoa.
Just for feeding people, to clarify, so people watching and listening understand, for feeding people in this public park, right? There's a statute locally that you can't do that, apparently.
Yeah, somewhere along the line they had passed a ordinance, they called it, that you cannot do that. It's called an event, which I can't understand. An event to me is something that you promote and you get a lot of people involved in, and you do, like, I'm a part of the suicide walk, and we work really hard getting that together. We have it one day a year. It or like the big parade for Veterans Day, that's an event. So anyway, you can't feed the homeless because it's called an event, and
Had
it's something to
you,
do with.
I just wanted to, had you ever, I mean, you have been doing this for a while, right? For a couple of years, you have been feeding
Oh
there in the
yeah.
park. Had you ever run into any other kind of issue before where they were coming to you and complaining?
I No, not as far as any official things. Through the 3 years or so that I'd been doing it, I had a few what I call haters. I'm sorry to use that term, but that's what I refer to, that drive by and would yell obscenities at me or call me a enabler or words that I won't use. But that was the only thing. Now, police officers had driven through the park through the time doing their routine drive-through checking kind of stuff they do. You know how they do, but never anything saying that you can't do this or you need to do different or any of that.
So I want to talk more about the legal battle that is going on now. But before we do that, I think it's important to talk about your heart behind why you do this. You mentioned some of the people who will drive by and say those things. What is it that motivates this for you? Why do you? I mean, you're taking time, you're taking effort, and you're putting your talents in cooking, and you're doing this to help people who are in need. Why are you doing that? What motivates that?
Well, the number one motivation is my Savior, Jesus Christ, and his Father. Uh, we are told repeatedly the first and most foremost commandment is love. Love thy neighbor, love your fellow man. Um, he tells several times, what you do to the least of my people, you so do to me. Um, that's basically my motivation. There is no reason under this earth that any human being should be hungry in this country that we live in. Actually, anywhere in the world, there's no reason for that. This Our world is so full of food and luxuries. Why should anyone be hungry? It I can't
Yeah.
understand.
And so
I mean,
you've taken action to help people. And what do you say to those who say, I mean, that's an interesting argument. Oh, you're enabling them. What's your response to that?
well, actually, the feeding goes further than just feeding because, and my answer is through food and making them stronger physically and healthier. Then we talk, we pray, we always say grace before we serve food. Uh, and if I get busy and I forget, they remind me. Believe you me, they remind me. Every once in a while, I do. I get preoccupied and rushed, and I'll start serving, and someone will come up and say, "We didn't say grace. We didn't bless the food." And so, but my thing is I don't know. But I'm not enabling. Not really. It's just giving them hope. I think more than anything is that they are people, they are persons, they are important. They're important to me. And yeah, we all
Yeah.
need to feel that.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And, being driven by your faith, it's interesting. You go to court, they threaten you with these things. It gets thrown out essentially, but you're told, and correct me if any of this is wrong, you're told that if you do this again, you're going to be in big trouble, right? So you're given that threat. So you made a decision to move somewhere else. Talk a little bit about that. Where are you right now while this plays out in court?
Right now, I'm in an alleyway, and God bless the man that lets me use his property because it's private property, so it's okay. We're out of sight of the main public. Uh, it's just a dirt alleyway. There is a fence that provides, it's got lattice work in it. So in the late afternoon, it provides in the summer a bit of shade. So I serve up their food as they come by. Uh, and they just sit on the ground. There's no water, there's no restroom facilities. It's just a dirt alleyway about a block and a half from the park, where it's a little easier for everyone to get to. But yeah, I'm grateful, so grateful for it, but it's not it's not good. It's dehumanizing to get a plate of food and have to just sit in the ground. And many of these are older people. I have an elderly lady and her daughter and her grandson that it's just dehumanizing is the best word I can utilize for that. It's
You
very
know,
sad.
you know, you had a decision to make, right? You go, they threaten you with this. If you do this again, you continue feeding in a different place, but you've made a decision to team up with the Institute for Justice and you have sued over this. What is your
Mhm.
end goal in that lawsuit? What are you hoping to accomplish?
That we can go back in the park, that we can be someplace where there's tables, there's shelter from the rain, shelter from the sun. Um, the reason for the park is it is the only place in the northern part of town that has running water and bathroom facilities, so they can wash their hands before they come to eat. It just they don't hang around there a whole lot. I mean, and I come in, and the feeding, by the time I dish up the food, I try to talk to several of them a moment or two. I'm generally not even there an hour, more often than not, less than an hour, or just shortly more than an hour.
And
So
you were
it's
doing
not,
this every day, right? You were doing this daily? Is that?
I was doing it about 5 days a week,
Wow. Wow.
you know.
Um, as you sort of look at this, your goal again is to get back into the park, to be able to be there. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you could host a party in the park, right? With 100 people. If it was a party that you were registering to have, let's say it's a birthday party or a retirement party, and you could have 100 people there. Is that correct?
Yes,
But
you
you
can have
can't do
any number you
this.
want.
Okay. But you can't
Yeah.
feed the homeless.
Well, I could. Now that this is the part that really I don't understand. I could, by applying for a permit, which would cost $250, that may or may not be refundable. That permit, if it was granted, would be good for one time a month. That doesn't suffice anything. And but they say I can come into the park without a permit and can have a party with my friends and relatives or whatever. The people I'm serving are my friends. They are not, it's not, all I can say is I can't see how it could be categorized an event.
Sure. Well, and let's say you had the politicians in front of you right now, because I will tell you, when the police officer said, and for those who don't know, there's video of your arrest, right? When the police officer is talking to, I assume, his superior, and he says this is a PR nightmare, that is what this has probably become now, because lots of people have covered this. You are speaking out about it very eloquently. But if you had the politicians in front of you, and I can tell you, they're paying attention and they're watching these interviews, I'm sure, who made this ordinance or who have the power to change the ordinance, what would you say to those people directly?
I would love them to live for 1 week, not necessarily out in the park, but on a budget that some of these people that actually do have housing live 1 week just exactly like these people, not 1 cent more, no vehicle, no extra stuff, none of these fancy suits. Walk a mile in the people's shoes. Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
I, um, I don't know how to say what I really think and feel. It just doesn't want to come out.
No, you're
Make me
saying it.
really angry when I start going. I get on my soapbox and then I start getting overly passionate and angry,
Well,
and frustrated.
Well, you're out there, you're trying to feed people, you're trying to help people. And, your emotion on this has come through. I saw some of the interviews you've done where you're in tears talking about this. This is something that's deeply important to you. And I think what you said was so important, that these people are your friends. These people matter. And you want to show them that they have value. Will you ever stop this ministry that you're doing?
No, I will not. I don't care what they say. They are wrong and I'm right. I'm One of the ways I know I'm right is I've prayed about it, and every time I'm in doubt, something happens that suddenly there's a box of food or a bag of food or whatever it is I need. Blankets showed up here at my doorstep just a few days ago. The temperature dropped quite a bit. Many of the people were very cold that are in the desert, not the ones that have the houses or apartments. And just showed up. So God's saying, put it on somebody's heart to put that food at my doorstep, or that the bedding or the hygiene stuff. It just shows up with nobody, no anything. Even dog food. Sometimes
Wow.
I'll get a request from one of the people that their animal needs dog food, and some of the best dog food you can buy will suddenly show up on my doorstep. So it's God putting this on their heart and then bringing it, and they don't even knock at my door. They don't ask for recognition. I didn't ask for recognition for this either, believe you me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You're just stepping up to what you believe is right and fighting the battle that you believe you've been called to, it sounds like.
that's it. Yes. And what's so funny is, for I don't know how many years, I'm always saying, if people would just step up and take action, And I've always been just, say it in the background. We talk with a group of two or three other people, and we say, well, if more people would just do what this person's doing, well, hello, I guess I'm the person this time.
You've been
It's
called
not
up to it.
comfortable.
You've been called up to it. Well, Norma, I want to tell you thank you for your time today. And as this case develops, we will definitely have you back to talk more. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.